I've been hosting this show for 7 years, and for 7 years, I've been saying I don't know what I'm doing. And it's true. Working for yourself is great, but being a one-man army can be really intimidating. I know how to talk, but how to edit a show, write scripts, upload, make thumbnails. The to-do list is a one step forward, two steps back situation. And I know you business owners know what I'm talking about. You need a tool, something that helps you stay organized and simplifies everything in your business. And for millions of businesses around the world, that tool is Shopify. Shopify is the commerce platform of choice for millions of businesses around the planet and 10% of all e-commerce in the US, from small startups to juggernauts like Mattel and Gymshark. They can hook you up with hundreds of ready-to-use templates to get your online store up and running, and they include helpful AI tools to do some of the heavy lifting like writing item descriptions and enhancing photos. And Shopify can help with that all-too-important social media too, helping you create emails and media campaigns to get your product in front of customers. It's like having your own marketing team. And most importantly, Shopify knows the back end of commerce, helping you manage inventories, take care of shipping, process orders and returns, and everything else. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/RTG. Go to shopify.com/RTG. Shopify.com/RTG. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week we're not doing any of that. We're still going to review a game. Well, when I say we, I mean I'm going to review a game, and it's not one I played back in the day. It's one I played about 6 months ago. There's no Remember the Game this week. We have a couple episodes pretty close to ready to go, but with it being summer and everything, a lot of my friends are away on summer holidays, and they volunteer their time to come on this show, so I'm not going to ask them to disrupt their time with family and friends out in the sun, eating the ice cream and, all the summer stuff, to come in and talk about old video games. And one of the great things about doing 5 episodes a week is that I've always got a few bonus podcasts that I can dig into and pull something out of the tickle trunk to throw up here to please the masses and buy me a week to get an episode together. So no Remember the Game this week, but we do have Legacy of Kain Soul Reaver on deck. That one will almost certainly be next week's episode. I have an episode about WCW Mayhem coming up soon. That Mayhem is about fucking right. Metal Slug 3 is on deck to get an episode soon, and I'm working on a Fire Emblem episode of the I can't remember what it's actually called, but the one that's considered like the first one in North America from the GBA. And Toe Jam and Earl 2 is on deck. Mutant League Football is on deck, and I'm starting a playthrough of Time Splitters soon. So lots of episodes coming up. I just need a little bit of time to get all our ducks in a row. This will buy you a week. This was a previously Patreon exclusive episode that's now going on the free feed. It is my spoiler-free review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Dropped on Xbox last year, dropped on PlayStation a few months ago. A lot of people seem to like it. I liked it as well. I didn't love it. You'll hear. I liked it. I liked it a lot. The review itself is spoiler-free, and then I do have a short spoiler cast waiting for you at the end. But if you're trying to avoid spoilers and stuff, have no fear. I will play music and warn you about 300 times before the spoiler section starts. So you're good for the first, 45 minutes or so to just enjoy a spoiler-free review of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. So I hope you like this. If you do, consider checking out our Patreon at patreon.com/rememberthegame. Subscription starting just $3 a month. You get the access to hundreds upon hundreds upon hundreds of ad-free bonus podcasts in our archives, plus new episodes every week. And then we donate part of it to charity. You can write into the show and all the other stuff I talk about every single week. So check that out. Leave us a good review if you like the show. They make me feel good. And enjoy this freebie from our Patreon archives, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. And we'll be back next week with some more retro gaming goodness. Take it easy, everybody. Pretty epic. What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 242nd edition of Remember the Game expansion Podcast. It is one of our Patreon exclusive weekly podcasts here to Remember the Game Industries. My name is Adam Blank, and if you're hearing this, you're watching this on a stream, whatever the fuck, either I've released it for free at some point down the road to fill in for me not wanting to do my job, or you support us on Patreon. And if that is the case, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. And this week, it's another one of our out-of-this-world space age modern game reviews, and I'm finally ready to talk about Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. This was one that I was really, really excited about when it was announced. This was on my most anticipated games list. I like Indiana Jones. And then when it came out last year, I played it a bit, and it just, as most of you are aware, did not resonate with me at all. Did not click. And then I left it for a couple of weeks and was like, this game sucks. Not for me. And then I went back and decided to give it another shot because everyone was talking about it. And the second time, it finally scratched the itch, my itch, and it kindly fell into place. Really cool game. I certainly don't love it as much as some of you do. I know there's people out there being like, this is one of my favorite games of all time. This game is perfect. I'm definitely not in that camp. But I do like it, and I hope we get more of them in the future. I know they have DLC coming for Great Circle. And then they've said after that, if they can come up with another good story, they'll do another Indiana Jones game. And I hope they do, because if they do announce another one, I'll play it in a heartbeat. So I'm going to keep this review as spoiler-free as I can, because I know it's coming to PS5 in the coming months, and a few of you are waiting to play it. So if you've not played this game, don't worry about it. I shouldn't spoil anything. At least not in the spoiler or in the review portion. There's gonna be like some broad descriptions of areas in the game, and I'm gonna name a couple of characters. They're on the fucking cover, so you find out about them pretty early. But I won't ruin any major plot points or anything like that until the short spoiler cast that's coming at the end, and I'll play music and stuff before the spoiler cast starts, so you have time to bounce. All right. We'll dive into all that in just a moment, because that is no part of your Patreon perk is a beat past the podcast. So put on your hat, grab your whip, and Gina, get the fuck out of the way. If you don't know what that means, you will. Oh, you will in this review. And I don't really have a lot to tell you guys about what's going on around here. The plan for Remember the Game in February, as of now, in no particular order, is Donkey Kong Country Returns, because I just 100%ed the HD version, and Mark McHugh just picked it up and played it as well. So we're going to review Donkey Kong Country Returns. I've been playing Darkwing Duck for the NES, because it won our NES poll. It's fucking pretty damn good. I get why people were pushing it so hard. So probably going to review that. And then I'm shooting to do Wild Arms, which won our RPG poll back in December. I'm hoping to have that one done to review by the end of February. So hopefully that's what February will be, is Donkey Kong, Wild Arms, and Darkwing Duck. XCOM 2 is still coming down the pipe. I still want to do a World Series of Poker episode. And then I'm tempted to fire up, I think Ninja Gaiden 4 looks really cool, the one that was revealed during the XCOM showcase. I've never played one of the modern Ninja Gaidens. I'm not convinced they're going to be for me, because games like that usually irritate me, but I might fire up, it's Ninja Gaiden, whatever how you say it, Sigma, which is like the fucking 3-time remastered version of it. And it's on Game Pass. So I think I'm going to fire it up and see how I like it. And if I get into it, I'll play through it and do a review of that. So that's as far as Remember the Game. As far as modern game reviews here on Expansion Pass, I still want to review Stalker 2. I got to finish it off. I'm sorry to people that were waiting on a Stellar Blade review. I think I'm throwing in the towel on that one. I don't think it's a bad game at all. It fucking looks great. Not just the scenery, but like it really is just a good looking game. It's pretty smooth. I just am not good at it. And that's what I'm worried about with Ninja Gaiden. Like, I'm just getting pissed off at Stellar Blade. Like, I've been on one boss fight for I kind of rage quit it, and I don't know if I'll ever turn it on again. I'm probably about halfway through the game. I'm playing it on normal, and people have said you can go down to easy. But to be honest with you, like, outside of the graphics, nothing else is really drawing me back. Like, I don't find the story particularly interesting. And the gameplay doesn't seem bad, but it's the same as like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, games like that. Like I can't get into the combat. I don't know if I think it's like, I Googled it and I was like, is Stellar Blade a Souls-like? And a lot of people were saying it was like a Souls-light, because they're like, it's not as difficult as a Souls game, but it's same, it's got some Souls in there. When you die, you go back to the last camp and all that stuff. And those games just make me crazy. So I'm not 100% convinced Ninja Gaiden's going to click, because I think it might be the same. But I think I'm done with Stellar Blade. So if you wanted to review, I don't know, from someone that only got about halfway through it, I give it a 7. The problem with Stellar Blade is that they put more time into the graphics than they did into the fun. At least, and that's just me. It's not as fun as I wanted it to be. I would like to go back and finish Cyberpunk 2077 to do a review of it, but I want to finish Stalker 2 first because I don't like hopping between two games in the same genre. I'm hoping Avowed is good in a couple of weeks because I'd like to review it. I didn't care for Outer Worlds. That came from the same studio that's doing Avowed, Obsidian, I think it was. So I'm hoping Avowed isn't like the Outer Worlds of Skyrim. I'm hoping I get into it. So, and then maybe Star Wars Outlaws. I'd really like to give that one a shot if I find time. And then once we hit April, it's off to the races with new releases. Plus, WWE 2K is next month, and I can't wait for that. So, anyways, that's all. That's all that's going on around here. Let's get into the Indiana Jones review, right? That's why you're here. I'm going to queue up some. I want to just say, shout out to the YouTube channels that upload game soundtracks, particularly the ones that split each song into its own video instead of just like a 4-hour video of all the songs. Because that's where I get most of the music for these. And my God, it's so much easier. My God. So shout out to all you YouTubers that upload video game music. You're fucking heroes. Heroes. And speaking of those, I'm going to queue up one of those songs right now. And when it stops, I'll tell y'all what I thought of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's go. It's funny because the music in this game is really good, but I also I don't know if any of you are like this. Music like this, music like the soundtrack of like God of War, those songs just don't stick with me like the old chip tunes, like Mega Man, Sea of Stars, like that kind of stuff does. Not that it's bad music, it just doesn't stick with me like that other stuff does. Anyways, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle. Let's set the table for what the game is. I think most of you know, but if you don't, obviously you play as Indiana Jones. It's an Indiana Jones game. This one is set after, what's the first one? Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it's picking up after that, but before the final one, which was the Great Crusade, I think. So, or at least of the original trilogy. First-person game for the most part, and it features a little bit of everything. It's obviously an incredibly story-heavy game. It's Indiana Jones. It's like playing an interactive movie at times. There's a lot of cutscenes, which I have to put it out there like I do every time I talk about cutscenes, because some of you seem to think that I hate cutscenes. I don't hate cutscenes. I hate cutscenes that aren't skippable when you've already seen them, and I hate cutscenes for stories that are boring. I didn't find the story of this game boring, and I never had to try to skip one, because I only ever saw them all once. Like, it's those ones when there's like, when there's like a fucking 2-minute cutscene before a boss fight and then the boss kills you and then you have to reload your save and it goes back to before the cutscene and then you have to rewatch the fucking 2-minute cutscene to fight the boss again. Oh, God, those are the ones that just make me see red. Or Metal Gear Solid because there's like 12 hours of cutscenes. But the cutscenes in this one were fine. So it's a story-heavy game, a lot of cutscenes. At times, it's an action game where you're using your whip to try to like get over obstacles and you're exploring. Sometimes it's like a fighting game. Not like, I shouldn't say it's a fighting game, but like you're fighting enemies with like your fists or using weapons or you're shooting them or you're using your whip. Sometimes there's a little bit of stealth play in it, which there's a lot of puzzle solving, which is a lot of fun. It doesn't just stick to one theme, and it definitely does some things better than others. Although the stuff it doesn't do well actually works to its advantage, in my opinion, and I'm going to get into that, and you'll understand by the time I'm done. So I'd like to start by just saying why I didn't get into it at first. I was so excited for this game when it was revealed. It was made by the people, I think it's Machine Games, the studio that made the modern Wolfenstein games that are awesome. So I was and I like Indiana Jones. I was really excited for this game, and the opening of it is awesome. I will say, I'm going to try to keep it as spoiler-free as I can, but like the opening prologue to the game, it starts with a flashback to Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it's fucking spot on. It's really good. It's really, really fun. And I finished that initial like 20-minute throwback part to kick the game off and was like, this is going to be fucking sick. And then it cuts to a part where you're at Indiana Jones's university, and there's a lot of like walking around at that point, a lot of reading, and I didn't hate it, but that part I was kind of like, compared to the excitement of the action part to start the game, the university part, I was kind of like, I could go for more action. I didn't love that. Then the game really kicks off. You get the little graphic where you see the red line and Indiana Jones is on his plane. And you go to Italy. I'm going to keep the locations as vague as I can. You go to a part of Italy, and then the game kind of becomes, it's not like a full-blown open world, but a lot of the sections of the game are these like open world segments where you're not going across like the entire planet, but you've got like a big area that you can kind of go wherever you want and explore and take on quests in whatever order you want and talk to tons of people. There's a whole bunch of optional side missions and collectibles and stuff. And that's where the game lost me on my initial playthrough. Opening part, awesome. University part, kind of boring. And then I just lost all interest in it when I got to the Italy area, to start the game at least. The Archmage wrote in and said, I don't think it's a spoiler, but I really admire the level design. I like how the game starts you out in a couple of small linear levels, which I just talked about, then takes you to an open world section in Italy, and then it basically keeps that formula so it feels like an adventure. It's not really an RPG, even though there's little upgrades you can do, so you're free to explore as much or as little as you like. Even just having the ability to fast travel back to old levels if you want to go get stuff you missed whilst in the middle of the game is a very nice touch. The fact that the game has something like a dozen levels, but only 3 are open world sections really spices up the variety. Also, shout out to the combat and the way the map works. More games should implement not having the quest icon appear unless you hold a map or something similar. And I have to like, I well said, Archmage, but I have to respectfully disagree. I'm going to get into that, but like, I thought the map was the most frustrating part of this game. I fucking detest the map system in this game. It drives me crazy. Because when you get into the 3 open world sections Archmage mentioned, which again, keeping them as vague as I can, it's like a town in Italy. There's like a swamp or like a fishing village. And then there's a desert. And we'll just go with that to describe them. When you get into those 3 areas, there's a ton to do. I generally prefer more linear games, even stuff like The Last of Us Part 2. There's a couple of portions where you get into more open world areas and you have to use a map to find your way around. Those are my least favorite parts of those games. I like them linear. The stuff like that opening part with the flashback, stuff like the winter part of this game, for those of you that have played it, you'll know what I'm talking about. Those parts are, for my money, were substantially more enjoyable and fun than the open areas. Because they're more linear and it's just like playing an action game, which is what I'm looking for. It felt more like Uncharted, which is what I was looking for. Areas like Italy or the desert or the fishing village, there is a ton of downtime where you're just walking or boating around. There is a fast travel system, but I honestly didn't find it particularly useful. And you have a map for these areas, and the map makes me fucking crazy because when you bring the map up, you can't just turn all the icons on at once. I get they were kind of trying to go for a touch of realism, but you can't convince me realism was the game of the game when you factor in the AI and the stealth and stuff like that. So when you bring up this fucking map, you can't just turn on all the icons. Like, I can't bring it up and just see like, okay, the main mission, I need to go to over here. There's a side mission over here. There's like a shop over here. There's a character to go find to get a new quest over here. Think, like a Horizon or a Spider-Man or a God of War or a Far Cry game where you see everything. In this one, you have to, you open the map and then you have to go through individual missions on the side of the screen and then only that mission or only whatever objective you're going on the side of the screen is the one that'll get highlighted on the map. And I just found it so frustrating because in that first area of Italy, after an hour of walking around and talking to people, I have a whole bunch of missions to tackle and I'm like, fucking A. But I always found I was just walking around looking for the next step of whatever mission I was on. And then I didn't realize so then I'd finish an area, or I'd go to a corner or an alley or something and do part of a mission. And then I'd want to go to my map and be like, is there anything else over here before I leave and go to the next area to tackle the rest of this mission? And I have to go through every fucking quest to see what pops up there and everything. And then as soon as you drop the map, you can't fucking see where everything is again. There's very few markers and stuff on the screen. And I agree to disagree. I fucking hated the map system in this game. I hated it.
Everyone knows that feeling, wanting to experience more stories, but struggling to find the time. That's where Audible changes everything. With over 1 million audiobooks and Audible originals, there's a story waiting to spark anyone's imagination. Take The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley, the gripping psychological thriller that's keeping listeners on the edge of their seats. Imagine unraveling its mysteries during your morning commute or losing yourself in its twists and turns while doing household chores. That's the magic of Audible. It transforms daily routines into opportunities for thrilling discoveries. The best part? Members get access to thousands of included titles, with new content added regularly. From bestsellers to hidden gems, every genre imaginable is at their fingertips. And with one easy-to-use app, switching between favorites or discovering new passions has never been simpler. There's more to imagine when you listen. Start a free 30-day Audible trial and get your first audiobook free at audible.com/Wondery. That's audible.com/Wondery.
And honestly, figuring out the next step of some of the missions could be a little bit frustrating as well. A lot of the quests involve puzzle solvings. They wouldn't tell you exactly what to do. They'd highlight an area in the map and be like, oh, find information about the Konami code in this fucking cabin in this area of Italy or whatever the fuck, right? Which I'm fine with. I don't need you to hold my hand. I kind of like having to solve a bit of a puzzle and figure out what am I looking for in this area. But the problem is that in some places it's like 3-4 levels or stories. Like you could go like it's different levels of a building, or there's like a big excavation site at one point in this part of Italy, and there's like multiple layers of the excavation site, and I don't know. Not only am I not entirely sure what I'm looking for, but I don't know what level it is on, and it's not like just hopping in an elevator and going down a story or up a story. And so I found it to be very frustrating. I found it to kind of be a bit of a, like I started to lose my patience with the amount of time I was spending trying to figure out where do I want to go in this fucking circle. It really irritated me. And I want to make this clear. I don't want you to hold my hand. I loved the puzzle solving aspect of this game. Aside from one other part, the puzzle solving is the best part of this game. I really, really liked it because it expects you to pick up notes and photos and trinkets and things and read them for hints and study photographs for hints and tips on where to go next, or how to open a lock, or how to find a secret door or something like that. And I loved that aspect of the game. I really, really did. I just found that I spent so much time walking around doing nothing, trying to figure out where the next area was. No puzzle solving, no fighting, trying to semi-sneak around enemies, and I just got sick of it. I've never hidden my disdain for stealth. Although I don't hate the stealth in this game, and I'll explain why. But I found the map in this game so frustrating. I was constantly having to hit the pause button or whatever, the fucking, I played it on my Xbox, so it's that button with the two little squares overlapping each other. I don't know what you call that button. But I found myself constantly pushing that button because the markers on the screen are hit and miss. Sometimes they're there, sometimes they're not. And again, I appreciate that they tried to keep the HUD clean, but I don't think it was very well done. I would have much preferred there be a compass in the corner or something. Or like, I don't need the Skyrim compass up top, but like something in the bottom, just something on the screen. Even if you make it an option, make it an option. So somebody like me that has zero interest in constantly going to their map can just have it on the screen and I have an idea of where I'm going. And then if somebody wants to turn it off like Archmage and just use their map, then let them do that. I appreciate the idea of having a clean HUD, but it made me crazy. Because one of my problems with this game is that when I play a game like this, eventually I usually tap out on trying to do everything and I just try to finish it. But at least for the first 2/3 of the game, I like to try to clean up everything in an area, hit everything on a map, and having to constantly bring up my map and then scroll through my missions to fucking see where different things were and everything really, really turned me off. Like it really, really frustrated me. Oh, fuck me. So I didn't love the map. So like I said, this wasn't for me. And when I got to the Italy area and the map was fucking me around and I was like, I'm done with this. I'm not liking it. That was why I quit it the first time. But all the great reviews, all the praise online, people seem to like the game. It brought me back. I decided I wanted to give it another shot. And what I said to myself is I'll get through this Italy area. And then if I'm feeling it, I'll go back or I'll keep going. And if I'm not feeling it, I can be like, I gave it an honest try. And I'll hang up. And I will say, well, all the gripes that I just griped about stand, and they're things that I don't like. Eventually, I said to myself, I'm going to just primarily focus on the story-based side missions and the main quest. I'm not going to get all the collectibles because there's a lot of fucking collectibles. And once I just accepted that I'm not going to get everything and I focused on story elements and the parts I wanted to play, then it really started to click. And that's what it boils down to with this game. At the end of the day, I don't think from a gameplay mechanic system, Indiana Jones and the Great Circle does anything particularly well, but it's a lot of fun. And how many times have I said it on the nearly 1,000 podcasts that I've hosted? Everything gets trumped by whether or not a game is fun. I don't care if it looks good, if it sounds good. If it's fun, I'll hang around. And when I just focused on story elements and not trying to find every little thing in every little area and just finding stuff as I came across it, then it really started to click and I got really, really into this game. And there is a ton of optional side content in this game if you want all of it. There's a lot of meat on the Indiana Jones bone here. So you've always got your main objective in an area, and then there's a bunch of additional side quests. Some are story-based, some of them aren't as much. Some of them are really interesting. I did one where there was like a kid that got caught by the fascists, and he had hidden like a relic we needed. It was completely optional, but I had to sneak into like a camp and get him out. And then he was going to tell me where this relic was to go get it. Stuff like that was a lot of fun. So some of it hooked me. There's a ton of collectible quests. There's like medicine hidden in every area that you can find to give back to. As you find medicine, you can give it back to the people that need it and then get money to buy things with it. There's a whole bunch of artifacts in this game that I gotta say, they all kind of look like fossilized penises. They're kind of funny, but you can find them all over the place. And at the end of the game, if you found them all, you get some secret. I did not find them all. You can collect photos of things with your camera. So if you want 100% it and stay busy, there's a full plate here. I just found it much more frustrating than a game like Spider-Man. Again, I did 100%, where I could just bring up the map, see everything in an area, clean it all up, and then move on to the next area. So you will spend a lot of time walking around in the open world areas. In the linear parts, it just becomes like a standard game where it's get from the beginning to the end and then move on to the next area. But in the open areas, you do spend a lot of time walking around. It's not always bad. The game looks fucking incredible. It really does look good, which is awesome. And there's a lot of puzzles to solve, a lot of places to explore. I think outside of solving puzzles, my favorite part of Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was the exploring, not walking around big open areas, but you would find like a cavern or a cave, like a place where people haven't been in, hundreds of years or whatever the fuck. And then you'd pick up a torch, light it, and then be using it to like avoid traps, think classic Indiana Jones, and navigate your way through to try to find treasures, or use your whip to climb walls or to swing across holes with spikes in the bottom, and then there's puzzles usually in those places and stuff. They're the coolest parts of the game. Them, and then just the puzzles as a whole are the best parts of the game. Every time I found like a new cave to go into and explore, I was like, I want more of this in future Indiana Jones games, because I think that is so much fun. But the counter to that is that on multiple occasions, I would take a minute to, like a solid 60 seconds to walk across a map to get to the next area I need to be on whatever quest that I'm on. And then I would spend so long trying to figure out what I need to do to move this quest along. In Italy, there's like a fucking tower with a sewer underneath it. And I spent so long in that fucking sewer trying to figure out how to open this gate, where I need a key to open this gate to go down in the sewer and see what's there, before finally just being like, I give up, fuck it, I'm going to keep moving on. And then I found out near the end of your time in the Italy area, once you've completed a bunch of the main story quests, then you get the key to go down to the sewer to do it. But I'm like, does that not drive anybody else fucking crazy? It drives me fucking insane when I'm like, why even let me in here and make me think that I could get through here and do something? And I waste so much time just trying to clean up that area while I'm there. Then I leave, and then later on in the game, they're like, oh yeah, here's a key. There's a sewer under that tower. Go in there and go look around. And I was like, fuck. Like, if he had just said something like, I'll have to come back later, or something like that, I would have been like, okay, that's all I needed to hear. Thank you. So that annoyed the shit out of me. Fuck me. But then again, on the other hand, there's one part, and again, I'm really trying to keep this as vague as I can. There's a part in this Italy section where there's clearly a secret passage. You're finding notes about a secret passage by a fireplace, and it's optional, I think. I don't remember if it was part of the main quest or not. I don't think it was, but it's completely up to you to work through the notes and the hints it's giving you and solve the puzzle of where this secret passage by this fireplace is, which, again, outside of exploring the tombs and caves, is the coolest part of the game. It's the going through the notes and trying to deduce it yourself. I thought that was awesome. And it's not like some of those games, like occasionally you'll have an accomplice character that'll throw the odd hint out, but it's not like, say, God of War, where after 2 seconds, Atreus is fucking like, hey, Dad, we should fucking do this. And you're like, shut up. I'm thinking. It lets you solve puzzles on your own, which is really, really cool. There is combat in this game. You do fight a lot of Nazis. And here's the thing is I don't think the combat in this game is particularly great, but that's kind of what makes it great. And I'll explain that. Osama bin Laden said, I love this game. I've been a fan of indie since I saw Temple of Doom in theaters at the age of 4. Thank you. I was given my first and not last bullwhip that same summer. The game perfectly captures the feel of a rollicking, swashbuckling adventure. And Troy Baker absolutely kills it as Indy. Many times I forgot it wasn't Harrison Ford. The writing is great. They even managed to give the character arc to Indy. The sounds and graphics are the next-gen goodness we all expect. My only gripe is the combat and the lackluster enemy AI. Press button to win. And it is, but I liked it because of that, okay? Because when you come across enemies, you have two options. You can either fight them or you can be sneaky and try to sneak around them, which I'll talk about in a second. If you get caught, you have to fight, and sometimes you just have to fight. And when you go to fight, it's basic fisticuffs. Like it's first person, Indy puts his hands up, you use the left bumper to swing your left fist, you hit the right bumper to swing your right fist. If you hold them, you'll like charge up and throw a bigger hit. You can clinch like you're boxing. If you look down and hit it, you can like kick them. I'm not sure if you're kicking them in the nuts or in the shin, but it's pretty funny. You can also take out your whip and hit enemies from a distance with your whip and like knock them down or distract them or knock them back from you. You do have a gun that you can shoot enemies with as long as you have ammo for it. And then there's tons of things you can pick up in the game and use as weapons, like shovels, candlesticks, hammers. They have like those Billy Club nightstick things that they drop that you can pick up and use. You can turn your own gun around and just use the butt end of it to hit enemies over the head with and stuff like that. And it's okay. Like it feels very, very loose, and for lack of a better term, it feels kind of sloppy, the combat, but I found it fun. Like I'm not playing the game for Souls-like combat. I just want to explore with Indiana, like Indiana Jones. So I actually thought the combat kind of worked. And it was kind of funny at times, like you'll knock out an enemy and, I almost said Harrison Ford, and Troy Baker as Indiana Jones will be like, not today, pal, and stuff like that. And it sounds like Indiana Jones. So like the fighting is fine. The AI is horrible. Like the stealth and the computer AI in this game is almost embarrassingly bad, in my opinion, at times. But that made me like it. Because as many of you know, I detest stealth games. And if the stealth in this game was really, really good, and there were portions where the only way to get through were to hide behind things and give it 2 or 3 minutes at a time or whatever to get by enemies, I wouldn't have finished it. I would not have finished it. But the stealth in this game is really, really bad. They don't find you like in the most obvious way. Like when an enemy thinks they're going to spot you, a little circle will pop up and start to fill up, and the enemy will be like, what's that? And it's so funny because you could be like 10 feet from that enemy right in front of them. They're looking right at you, and then you'll just hear the like, and they'll be like, what's that? And then you just duck behind a box, and they'll be like, I don't know. And they'll turn around and walk away. Like the AI is fucking horrible. Horrible. So you don't have to sneak by anybody. If you want to, it's not particularly hard to do in a lot of areas. But then there's also areas where it feels like they want you to use stealth, but there's so many enemies that I don't know how anybody could possibly get through there with stealth. And then once you get caught, it's not like a game where it's game over if you get caught. A lot of the time, you just end up fighting. And like, there's one part in the desert where you have to go up like a tower, and I got caught because I don't know how anybody would get through there without getting seen by somebody. So I got caught by one of the guards, and then he like blew his whistle, and then they all started to attack me. And all I ended up doing was going out onto like a balcony off the tower and just knocking enemies out as they came out the door and just letting the bodies pile up. Because you can pick up bodies and hide them in this game, but it doesn't seem like it really matters. An enemy will find a body and be like, hey, there's a man down over here. And then after about 15 seconds, they're like, I don't know. It just... And like you just kept piling them up. Like the enemy there's no strategy. They just keep running into the door, like keep running into you and stuff like that. And so like I want to make it sound like it's like I don't think it's particularly good, but that's what made it good for me. Because if it had been deeper, if the combat had been deeper, or if the stealth was more required, I wouldn't have finished the game. So it's fine for what it is. It's entertaining. It's silly. It's just a silly combat mechanic. So other than the combat and the stealth, the controls are pretty good. You use your whip with your right bumper. You can use it to like climb up walls. You can use it to pull things down. You can use it to swing across like pits with spikes in them. You can use it to help pull people up if you've got somebody coming along with you and stuff like that. It feels all right. I do, as much as I detest the map and the menu system in this game, the inventory system is fantastic because it's all just set to your D-pad. And it's like down is your bandages and your food, which replenish your health and your stamina. To the left is your guns. If you go up, it's, what is up? I don't remember what's up anymore. It's been a week or so since I played it, but it doesn't matter. And then to the right, it's like your different costumes you can change into and most of the rest of your equipment. And it feels very smooth and streamlined. It doesn't feel like up is stuff like your, like items you get. I don't want to spoil anything. One of the earliest items you get is a camera. And so if you push up, you'll bring up your camera and you can take pictures and stuff. So it's really well done. The inventory system, you don't have to pause and go through your inventory and set things and stuff like that. I love the different costumes idea. You can dress up in different outfits, and as long as you're in the right costume and you go into an area and you're not super obvious about it, a lot of enemies will just kind of leave you alone. If they do think you look peculiar, then you've got a little bit of time to kind of sneak away before they come after you, so it works. Also, I want to shout out one other thing from the combat is there are dogs that are enemies, and normally I hate fighting dogs in video games, Last of Us Part 2, when they yelp and you have to kill them. I love that in this game, if the dogs attack you, you mash the trigger buttons to get them off of you, but then to scare them off, all you have to do is shoot your gun or crack your whip, and then it attracts enemies, but the dogs get scared and run away, which I want to give massive props to Machine Games for doing that, because I don't want to have to fight dogs. Just let me scare them away. That was fucking perfect. The graphics, like I mentioned earlier, the graphics are, I think, spectacular. It is a really, really good looking game. A couple of people wrote in about how it plays on PC. As y'all can imagine, I played it on Xbox. It was fine. I played it on both my Series S and my Series X and had no problems with it. I guess there have been some issues on PC. I'm going to read a couple of comments. I have nothing to add to these. I'm just reading these to let it be known to any of you PC Master Racers out there. Pagarino said, I'm super excited to play it, but since I haven't bought it yet, I'll give you a comment for your geek voice you like to make. It's Professor Frink, Pagarino. This is the first major game that requires a graphics card capable of hardware-level ray tracing for the PC version. This may be an indicator that the industry is headed in a direction that will free up developers' time, since they won't need to work so hard optimizing in-game lighting. That could in turn result in faster game releases or attention to detail elsewhere. So you need a graphics card capable of hardware-level ray tracing to play it on PC. ChrisKid35 said, I was really looking forward to playing this, and I renewed my PC Game Pass subscription to do so. Got it all downloaded and went to play it, only for it to crash multiple times. Upon Googling the issue, I found out my graphics card isn't new enough to play this game. Overall, extremely disappointed that it took me doing some digging to find this out and not having it clearly stated when I went to download. From watching other people play it, it looks fun. Just wish it was more accessible and wasn't the only game that seems to require a new graphics card. I have nothing to add to that. I just wanted to get those in there for you PC Master Racers and let you know before you try to play this. On console, at least, it looks... And that's not even me being like, on console it works. I'm not trying to be like that. I'm just saying, when it's running, game looks really, really good. And as you've already heard a couple of people do, the voice acting in this game just cannot be praised enough. It is phenomenal. Simply phenomenal. It is obviously Troy Baker as Indiana Jones is the star. I'm telling you, if you've not played this game, look up a couple of clips. Troy Baker's impression of Indiana Jones is like magnificent. It's fucking wild. Tommy Simps said Troy Baker as Indiana Jones was honestly some of the best voice acting in video game history. He did a really great job as Harrison Ford. At times, the game made me believe I was experiencing a real Indiana Jones movie that took place between the first and second one. If they made another game with the same cast, it would be a day one play for me. Yeah, Troy Baker as Indiana Jones is fucking unreal. I went back and watched Raiders of the Lost Ark after playing this, and I was because I hadn't seen an Indiana Jones movie in a few years, and I was shocked at just how spot on Troy Baker's Harrison Ford impression was. It's fucking wild. Also, I didn't look up the names of the other voice actors, but a lot of the voice acting in this game is really good. There's like a German like lieutenant or something. He's scared of heights, and there's a scene with him, and he's really good. Emmerich Voss is the main enemy. Like I said, I'm going to keep these vague. This is all shit you find out early. He's on the cover. Voss is like a Nazi archaeologist, and he's the main villain. And I don't know who the voice actor of Voss was, but I think the performance was as good as Troy Baker as Indiana Jones. For any of you that have listened to it, my review of Ghost of Tsushima, I'm drawing a blank on the name of the villain all of a sudden. Khan? I'm drawing a blank on it now. But I have praised the villain of Ghost of Tsushima as one of the greatest performances of a villain in a video game that I've ever played. And Voss is right there with him. He is such a smug, arrogant, but kind of charismatic and well-spoken villain. He is one of the best one of the best villains I've experienced in a video game in the last 10 years. Emmerich Voss. And I want to give it credit. Like, there were points in this game where I got irritated with the stealth or irritated with the exploration or stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it was really fun to play. And the story and the voice acting kept me hooked. It really was like playing a movie at times. And that's where, different of opinion, I preferred the linear areas because that felt more like a movie. When I went into the open world areas, that's when I felt like it was losing that movie appeal to me. And now it just became another walk around and find everything. That's my opinion. Like, it took me out of the element. Whereas when it was cutscenes and the linear parts where there was only one way to go, it really felt like playing an Indiana Jones movie. So the voice acting is fantastic. I will say, on the note of Boss, the main villain, the final boss fight in this game sucks. I'm going to talk about it in the spoilers. You shouldn't even take anything away from that because I hate both boss fights. But the final boss fight in this game is really bad. Even if you look it up online, there's a lot of people that are like, nah, it's pretty shitty. Cool concept, but it's not hard. It is hard, but it's just stupid. I just thought it was boring and lame. But we'll get into all that. So most of the side characters are voiced really well. There's like an accomplice in this game, Gina. Again, keeping it vague, but she's on and off. She's around, then she's not around. I found her very, very annoying. I hate her. Hate is a strong word, but when it applies, it applies, and I'm applying it here. I fucking hate Gina. I don't mind her, like, story, and I don't think the voice actress did a terrible job of her, but I just found her, like, she makes Ashley from Resident Evil 4 seem like a saint. I just found her so annoying. There's not a lot of segments where you need to, like, protect her from enemies or anything, but she's just always fucking talking or in the fucking way. She's always in the fucking way. There can't be a soul on this planet that can defend that you can't walk through her. Like when she's standing in like a narrow doorway or something, and she's just standing there holding her torch or whatever the fuck, and I'm like, I'd like to get past, please. And why not just let her go like transparent for 1 second and let me walk through? Nope. You're fucking stuck on her. It made me so. It was like it was a modern version of like when you're playing an old NPC, like an old RPG, and there's those fucking NPC characters that just take a random step in a random direction every 2 seconds in a village, and you get stuck behind them or beside them, and you're trying to get them out of your fucking way. That was Gina. Get the fuck out of my way. Go. God, I'm choking on my own rage here. I fucking hate Gina. I hate her. That said, though, the story was really, really good. Like, we rewatched Raiders of the Lost Ark after I finished my playthrough, and the Great Circle comes in after Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it really does fit in. It feels like playing, like, I know it's technically be the 6th Indiana Jones movie, but like the 4th in the original trilogy. Like, it really does feel good. As far as like the plot, I want to keep it as vague as I can. Long story short, same as like most Indiana Jones movies, he's trying to solve the mystery of some ancient artifacts. The Nazis want to do it as well, and you're chasing each other and racing each other around the world to figure out the secret of these artifacts. So the humor is there. Indy's fear of snakes pops up at one point, which I thought was really fucking awesome. There's one rad part in the game where you fall into like a pit of scorpions, and you have a torch, and you have to like back them off or fight them away. So as they're coming at you, you're kind of like swinging your torch and trying to get them to back away and stuff like that. And then, I'm sorry, I don't know if it's a spoiler. I guess it's not. It's fine. There's one part of the game where you're like stuck in the sand and these scorpions are coming at you, and all you can do is like to like try to scare them away because you can't get your hands out to fight them off. And it actually just, it was really funny. Like the way that, like I said, when you knock out a Nazi, Indy might say something like "tough luck for you, pal," and like stuff like that. It's got that Indiana Jones charm. Like they really captured the feeling of an Indiana Jones movie in this game. They really did. There's a reasonable amount of freedom with how you deal with the open areas. Like I said, there's a side mission in Italy where you have to like save a young guy that was caught by the fascists, and then he's going to tell you how to find like a artifact that he had or something. And I really enjoyed it. At the end of the day, like you're probably going to have to fight your way out, but there's a few options on how you do it. It's not like they conveniently leave a hammer. Well, they do leave a lot of weapons laying around that you could conveniently use to fight enemies, but it's not like you walk into an area and like, here's an enemy and there's a hammer sitting right beside him and it's obvious what they want you to do. There's shit laying around everywhere that you could pick up and throw to distract people or hit enemies with and stuff like that. You could try sneaking past them. There's usual multiple paths in and out of areas. You can take on things in different orders. So it kind of keeps you linear while also feeling open, if that makes sense, which I thought was really good. If you're the type that loves to read every note and every relic you pick up and shit like that, there is a fucking ton of it in this game. But you don't have to read all of them. What I really liked, one of the coolest things this game does, is you're picking up dozens of notes and cards and photographs and shit laying around. When you need one to solve a puzzle, like when you go into the menu for your missions and you select a particular side quest, all the notes that are applicable to that side quest will be there for you to go through instead of having to go through everything you picked up. And it'll tell you like, I don't know, it'll be something simple like figure out how to open this safe. And then it'll say notes collected 2 of 4. And so maybe you can solve it with those 2, but if you can't, you know there's 2 more notes laying around somewhere that will help you solve it. And then it still takes it's not like, this isn't like the fucking most complex game in the history of video games, but it's not a simple matter of like, oh, put the red block in the red circle. It's you have to do a little bit of thinking to solve some of the puzzles, and I thought that was really well done. There is a leveling up system. I found it to be very whatever. It's not so much a skill tree. It's you find or you purchase books and manuals throughout the game, and then as you pick them up, it'll maybe give you more health. It'll make your punches do more damage. There's a cool one called Lucky Hat, where as long as you're dressed as Indiana Jones and not in one of your costumes, when you get knocked down in a fight and you would die, you've got a few seconds to crawl around and find your hat. And if you find it, he picks it up. You get a cool little cutscene where he brushes it off and puts it back on, and you can keep the game going. But when you find these books, you then have to use the experience points you get in the game by finding artifacts and completing missions to power those up and use them. So I thought it was fine. It's pretty basic, but it does the job. Same with money. There's one particular part in the swamp boating area where you need a whole bunch of money to buy an item. And I think it was designed that way on purpose. I didn't find it to be much of a problem. Everywhere else in the game where I needed money to buy something, I just always had enough because there's money everywhere. You could always sneak into a Nazi's tent. And it's really cool. It's little things like you'll find a lockbox with a lock on it, and then you need to find an item that is strong enough to hit the lockbox with to break the lock. Like you can't do it with a broom or a guitar or a glass bottle, but you can do it with a hammer and stuff like that. And then you'll be able to steal some money out of it and shit like that. I thought that was really cool. The money wasn't a problem. Overall, I quite enjoyed the game. I didn't find myself I probably only did about 70% completion. I didn't find myself, no pun intended, I didn't find myself jonesing to go back and find all the collectibles and things. Because again, I personally found the map to be an abomination and incredibly frustrating to use. But as long as I just stuck to the story quest, the story-based side missions, and then just picking up collectibles as I found them and things, and exploring when I felt like it and shit, then I found the game to be incredibly fun. It was a really, really good time. The puzzles are good. I never found myself stuck. They don't insult your intelligence. A couple of things I would say is if they do make a sequel, I hope that we get a bigger emphasis on temples and caves, the more linear, those areas to explore, because I found them to be a lot of fun. Give players the option to turn a compass or something on, or to bring up your map and have everything on it. For the love of fuck, please give us options to do that. and let you walk through characters like fucking Gina because she fucking sucks. But otherwise, just do this again. Great story, great voice acting. Baker has to come back. And at the end of the day, the game was just a lot of fun, which is what I want out of games. So I'm going to read a few of your summaries of this game, and then I'm going to slap a score on it, and then we'll get into the spoiler cast. You still got a few minutes if you're worried about spoilers. Don't worry. You don't have to bounce right now. Matt D said, overall, a very enjoyable game. Indy is my second favorite franchise, and this made me feel just like Indy. I will say that it wasn't exactly the most exciting game, and it was at its best. And it was at its best during the puzzle solving. Agreed. The stealth was a bit annoying, and the fighting was extra annoying. Fantastic story and a very well fleshed out side characters. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. A great Game Pass addition. Impressive Beans said, this game is why I restarted my Game Pass subscription. Well, I've been looking forward to it for some time. I was also going through some health issues over the month of December, and honestly, this was a great distraction at the right time. I hope you're feeling better, Beans. Rather that you should stop eating beans. That's your problem. Rather than dwelling on issues I had no control over, Indiana Jones helped me through that tough time. Now, that being said, I was very happy that the fighting was true to Indy. Fistfights were a lot of fun, and learning the mechanics was critical to their success. I really loved the main villain and how other relationships developed and changed from this story. This was truly a game you could play with your spouse, and they could enjoy watching it like an interactive movie, even if they weren't playing. I'll play it again sooner than later, and I can't recommend it enough. I will say in each of the 3 open world areas, there's a side quest where you go fight, and you have to, it's like an underground boxing ring, and you have to fight increasingly difficult fighters. I didn't do the third one, but I did the first 2, and that was when I found fighting to be at its best, because it felt like a one-on-one boxing match. Whereas when I was fighting them in like areas and like more enemies were coming in, then it just became a like knock you out as fast as I can and get on to the next one. So that's my opinion. Smith said, as a lifelong fan of Indy, this game really hit the mark. It's not the greatest game ever, but it manages to incorporate all the trademarks of an Indiana Jones adventure. Fisticuffs, bullwhips, exploring puzzles, and beating up Nazis. I'm also not a big fan of first-person shooters, but there were times I found myself totally immersed in being Dr. Jones. I'd love to see them make more and see how they expand on the gameplay. That's one of the true joys of getting into any game series, is seeing how the gameplay mechanics improve with each sequel, and this one has me hooked. Bravo. And Larry White, not to be confused with Barry White, said, I can list off so many things I hate about this game. Stealth, map system, combat, etc. And very little that I love, but this game is just so much fun. I played about an hour and said to myself that I don't like it and will not play it again, but something kept drawing me back to play it. It's like a game really is the sum of all its parts. Individually, they're terrible, but like a great recipe, combine them and mwah. Chef's kiss, Dr. Jones. That's well said, Larry. That's how I feel about it too. There's not any one thing I think this game does particularly well, and I think everything this game does has been done better in other games. But when you, like you said, it's like a recipe. When you put all the ingredients together, it's really just a fun game. And that's what it comes down to. If a game is fun, it's going to get my time. And at the end of the day, I had fun with this game. I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I don't think I loved it as much as some of people did. But the points I took off aren't because it's a bad game. It's just because there's aspects of the game, like the map and stuff, that I personally, it's just not my MO. I'd give it an 8 out of 10. Once it finally clicked with me, I played it pretty obsessively until I beat it. And I can sit here right now and say that when and if, and I think we're going to get another one. It might depend on how it sells on PlayStation, but I think we're going to get another one. When and if we get another game, assuming there's not a bigger emphasis on stealth, because if there is, I got to say, like, as stupid as it's going to sound, if they make the stealth good, I'm out. I have no interest. But if they keep the stealth as kind of stupid and silly and basic as it is in this game, the second one will be a day 2 play for me. 8 out of 10. I thought it was a lot of fun. Good game. So this is where it stops. If you don't want to hear spoilers, appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Feel free to DM me if you've got any other questions, and I'll answer them. Just keep the spoilers out of the comments, because PlayStation players are still, and apparently PC players are still waiting to play it, and I don't want to ruin it for them. If you do want to hear, I'm not going to get into a ton of spoilers, but I am going to talk about a little bit more about the plot. I'm going to talk a little bit about the areas and what bothered me about some of them. I'm going to talk about my favorite parts of the game, and I'm going to talk about the final boss fight. So if you don't want to hear about that stuff, appreciate you listening. Thank you for the support, and I'll talk to you later. If you do want to hear about that stuff, then enjoy the music that I'm going to start right now. And when it stops, we'll get into those spoilers, okay? We'll be right back. This is your final warning. Spoilers are starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So the story I thought was pretty good. The story of the stones. I wasn't quite sure, because it was. So there's a great scene after the Vatican part where sorry, I've got a hiccup stuck in my chest. It's driving me crazy. There's a great scene after that where Gina and Joan sneak onto the blimp. And they're going, which also, that part's awesome. When you're climbing that tower and you're trying to get up and then you use your bullwhip and you're hanging off of the blimp, flying over Rome. That was fucking pretty sick. But when you get into the blimp, there's a great part where Indy is explaining the Great Circle to Gina, and it's really well explained. I thought it seemed like at first I'm watching, he takes Gina's lipstick and draws it on a board and explains that it's a circle that goes directly around the world that encompasses all these different locations. And word has it, if you get all the stones from all these locations, there's some kind of power that could be activated there. And I thought it seemed kind of simplistic in the way they explained it, but I also was I'm a very dumb man, and I appreciate that you explained it that way. So I thought that was fine. When it comes to the Indiana Jones trilogy, the first 3 movies, I haven't watched it in a long time, but the Temple of Doom was always my least favorite because I understand there's a bit of a supernatural aspect to the Indiana Jones universe, but I thought the ripping hearts out and shit was kind of dumb. I thought it worked really well in this one. Not ripping out of hearts, but the way the stones would give you the ability to instantly teleport to other areas and stuff like that. I thought that was really cool. For me, my favorite part of the games, or my 2 favorite parts of the game, the first is that retelling of the temple from the beginning of Raiders of the Lost Ark. I thought that was dude, I played that part and I was if the whole game is this could be my game of the year. I'm going to be fucking hooked. And then as you've heard, when I get into the open world areas, I didn't love it as much. But I loved that opening temple run part. And then I loved the frozen boat that's on the top of the mountain. Again, it went to a much more linear thing. I thought that fucking frozen boat on top of the mountain was one of the coolest parts of the game. I love sneaking through there and seeing all the frozen people, and I was reading all the notes to hear their stories, and then finding Gina's frozen sister and everything. I thought that whole part was fucking awesome. And then using the stones to get out of there after the part where you're on the boat as it's sliding down the fucking mountain and it's about to crash, and then you use the stones, and all of a sudden you're in I think you're in, where the fuck did you go? Japan or something? And it's all crashed in, and then you get in that plane with her and get out of there. That was the other best part of the game for me. I much preferred those linear areas, and I thought those parts were both fucking awesome. The parts I didn't like about the open world thing, I didn't find that once I figured out how the open world part and the map and everything works, I didn't find the Vatican to be too bad. The boat swamp area I thought was kind of cool because I really enjoyed going into the old pyramid and the temples and stuff like that. I really didn't like the Egypt part, the Sphinx and the pyramids and stuff. It was nice to look at, but I hate desert. I just don't think desert levels are all that visually appealing or stimulating. I find them very bland and boring, and that was one. And there's one part in that area where you need to sneak into the Nazi camp that's on the other side of the train tracks, and the amount of time I fucking wasted trying to find a way in and then trying to find a way out of there really, really burned my ass. It was at that point in the game that I said, I'm done exploring these open areas. I hope there's not many more of them, and I'm glad there wasn't more of them. I really did not enjoy that. Again, though, when you were going underground and going through caverns and stuff like that, the Egypt area is fucking awesome. But when you were trying to sneak in that fucking Nazi camp and just walking around in the desert and everything just looked the same and it was just sand everywhere and stuff, I fucking hated it. I hated it. I could not for the love of me get into Gina. I could not. I get she's looking for her sister. She's a reporter looking for her sister. I'm fine with that. I think it was just that I found her so annoying whenever she was around. I'm trying to find my way out, and they're like, over here, Dr. Jones. And I'm like, I'm fucking exploring. I'm a fucking explorer. Shut the fuck up. And then not being able to get past her and stuff like that. I found her, even in the first part in the Vatican, when you have to go up and turn the 2 dragons, or whatever they are, the 2 statues, to face each other, to open up the puzzle wall to then open up the cavern to go down underground. I thought that was really cool, but I just found her so fucking annoying when she was there. It's very difficult to do a side character properly. I think Atreus was done properly. I personally don't find Ashley in Resident Evil 4 as annoying as some do, but she's kind of annoying. Gina drove me fucking crazy. I really didn't like her. Loved Voss, fucking hated Gina. I liked the I can't remember her name now, but the other woman that was in Egypt, the one that was like stationed there that had like her tent set up and everything. I liked her better. I would have rather have taken her with me than Gina, frankly. Oh, another part of the game that I thought went way too long was the like the dream sequence when Indy's like tripping balls and he's going back through the university and just running around and around and around. It was cool for a while. And then I got to the point where I was like, all right, like I get that he's just fucking unconscious or tripping on drugs or whatever the fuck. Let's get this over with. I wanna get back to explore. Like, let's go. I didn't care for that part. And then the boss fight. I genuinely love Boss. I think Boss, spectacular villain. I love the part of the end where you're fighting each other on the boat and everything like that. But the final fight with Boss, where the two of you are hanging over, like, I can't remember if it's a boat or not, but you're hanging on that like pillar of wood that's sticking out, and you're each hanging on one side of the bullwhip, and then you're kicking him, and then you're like punching him or whatever, and then he's swinging away, and then he's coming back at you and kicking you. It was a little bit hard. Like I'd probably lost there 4 or 5 times before I beat it, but less so than the difficulty. I just found it to be a very like lame way to finish. Like I really would have preferred to see him like die at his own hand with his powers or something like that, or you like leave him there or something. You know, I just somebody turns on him or something. If you've played it, I'm curious to know if you didn't like it either, because I Googled it after I beat the game, because I was just curious, like, does anyone else hate this as much as me? And if you look it up, there is a big portion of the players that disliked that final fight with Boss as much as I did. I saw one guy be like, it was my game of the year until the final fight, and I thought it was terrible. I was disappointed with the ending, considering that, like, you wait the whole game to get your hands on Boss, and it teaches you all about fighting and stuff like that. And so I'm expecting like a big final fist fight or something. And then all it is the two of us are hanging there, and you have to fucking punch him, but punch him at the right time that he doesn't come back with the kick. And that's all it was. Like, I would have much preferred having to just like stand toe to toe with him and fight him with his karate, like it starts out as. I think it should have ended that way. So I really didn't like that final fight, but I loved the character. Voss was such a phenomenal villain, as was that fucking lieutenant guy that was like scared of heights, that was like making fun of Indy when he's got you caught on the boat and he's doing the like bark, 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 bark. And he's like, many people are scared of heights, and he's like, I am one of them, but I'm facing them for the Fuhrer or whatever the fuck. And I thought he was, the voice acting in this game is just so fucking good. It really is. I can't really think of any other spoilers. That was the basic stuff I wanted to talk about that I just didn't feel right bringing up in the spoiler part, or in the review part. Like I said, overall, good game. It's a tricky thing, because when they make a sequel, and I think they're going to, it's gonna be tough, because I think there are players out there that want the stealth and AI elements improved. I think there are players like me that don't want them improved. Like, it almost felt like, it felt cartoony and silly how stupid the villains were and how easy it was to defeat them. But that was what made it fun. I was like, I'm not here for Dark Souls. I'm here to be Indiana Jones. Just let me fucking beat these guys up and move on with my life. Like, I really enjoyed that. So I don't know what they're going to do, because I think if they don't improve the mechanics, there'll be people that are upset. And if they do improve the mechanics, there'll be people that'll be upset. So I really hope that, to quote Ned Flanders, stay the course, Big Ned. You're doing super. I hope they just stay the course, give us a better map to use, or an option. Because that's the thing, is like Archmage, I keep going back to Archmage's comment, but Archmage wrote in and said he really liked the camera system, or the map system and everything. I'd like to see just an option. If you want the HUD on with the compass and stuff in the corner, yes. If you want to just be able to play more realistically, or you need to bring up the map when you're trying to figure out where you're going, be able to play, like, give us the option to do both. I think that would be a nice middle ground. All I can say is, like, when and if a sequel is announced, it's on my day one playlist. And I'll just hope that it clicks with me like this one did. So if you've been on the fence, if you don't like stealth games, don't let this one scare you off. The stealth is humorously not very good, and that's what makes it good, in my opinion. So, good game. Like I said, 8 out of 10. I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna give it, like, it's not going ahead of Astrobot. It's not going ahead of Stalker 2. It's not going ahead of Balatro. It's not going ahead of Animal Well. Well, it's probably around Animal Well. Like, it's probably in my 4 or 5 slot for Game of the Year. It was good. Good, not great, good. So that's going to do it. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I hope you enjoyed this review. These are always some of the toughest episodes for me to do because I'm going solo, and it's not so much about filling air. Like I don't want to just. I'd rather have a 20-minute review that's really good over an hour that's just filling air. But I'm always afraid I'm going to miss something or forget something or get too repetitive. So I hope that I nailed this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for listening. Feel free to DM me any questions. Please, no spoiler talk in the comments so we don't ruin it for the PlayStationites and the PC Master Racers. What can't play it because his capture cards don't have enough data RAM. And I'll talk to y'all next week or tomorrow or whenever the next time you listen to one of my shows is. All right? Take it easy, everybody. Cheers.